Christmas, a time of reflection, a time of celebration, a time to be spiritual, a time for family, joy, and a chance to use the excuse, but it's Christmas, to avoid anything bad. But it's also time for criminals, offenders, convicts, ruffians, cons, felons, hoodlums, knaves, scoundrels, villains, to try to ruin it. But who is the worst of the worst Christmas special villain? Who is the rottenest of rotten? Brattiest of brats? Naughtiest of the naughty? Let's find out. With that said, I'm TuneAmp, I'm tuned up, and this is the top 10 naughtiest Christmas special villains. Now if a villain you do like doesn't make this list, that's fine. This list is based on my own opinion, and you have free will to like whoever you like. Mind control! Why isn't it working? Work, damn it! Fine, you're free to like whoever you like. And with that, let's get to the rules of the list. The list must be villains from a Christmas special, not a Christmas episode from a TV series. Keyword, special. The special's runtime must not exceed 1 hour, so no movies. Must be about Christmas, so Troll's Holiday in all its condescending glory doesn't count. Seriously, someone from DreamWorks looked up what makes a holiday, because somebody doesn't know the difference between a holiday and just a random celebration. It's like me finding a sock and declaring, hey, it's found my old sock day. No offshoot from a cartoon series where it can be easily inserted into the series run. So no Zim or the brain. And of course, it must be a cartoon. I'm going to judge each villain on popularity, performance and presence, how much Christmas is involved, and how bad their crimes are. Let's get started. Number 10. Miss Mavilda from The Christmas Tree. So I'm not going to lie, when I heard this is the worst Christmas special of all time, I was like, no. And then, for the purpose of this review, I watched it. And now, I believe. Yes, The Christmas Tree is considered one of the worst, if not the worst, Christmas special of all time. But yet, it also has one of the most despicable Christmas villains I have ever seen. Miss Mavilda runs an orphanage that runs off of donations and taxpayer money. However, she uses the money for her gambling parties. This means no new clothes and gifts for the kids. This is child neglect. When a woman, Judy, and her kids comes to live and work for Mavilda, Mavilda gets a little paranoid and she hires someone to frame Judy for a crime. Mavilda bullies and threatens Judy's family's livelihood, just because she went too far with her gambling and Judy found out. The worst thing is, Mavilda knows what she's doing is wrong, because she mocks the children as she gambles their money away. Oh, and she survived being struck by lightning. And my word, this is bad. It's so bad that it's hilarious. Number 9. The Snowman from Santa Claus vs. the Snowman. I almost didn't want to put this on here, but I couldn't look past the fact that the Snowman staged a war against Santa. The Snowman himself is a very confused character. The end goal was he wanted to make a friend because he was lonely. But the way he went about it was wrong. First, after his favorite flute broke, he tried to steal another flute out of Santa's workshop. He got caught. And then he got the bright idea that he should be the ones delivering the toys, just to be popular, not Santa. So he broke into the workshop and tried to steal Santa's sleigh. He got caught. Now he wants revenge, so he stages a war and wins. This war has elves freezing, a monster versus a giant nutcracker, Star Wars parody. Again, the snowman wins and takes off to deliver the toys. He ends up realizing that this is a bad idea since, well, you know, he's a snowman. Not really evil, just misguided and confused. Had no real interactions with another person until he made his way to the North Pole. So he's kind of a fish out of water when it comes to understanding the world. By the way, really early animation from the company that brought us Jimmy Neutron. You can kind of tell by the style. That's Jimmy's mom. Or, I just made that up. You decide. Yeah, whatever. Number 8. Jeremy Creek from the town that Santa forgot. Have you ever met a kid that has everything he ever wanted and more, but it's never enough? That is Jeremy Creek, a brat beyond brat. But who do we blame for this brattiness?
The mother and the father.
Yeah, that's right. This kid has mountains of toys. He pushes other kids around in order to get his way, and he constantly wants more. His parents finally had enough and starts telling him no, but it's too late. The damage has been done. If his parents can't get him what he wants, he'll go to a higher authority, Santa Claus. So Jeremy decides to mail a letter to Santa asking for whole toy shops of toys. He even plotted to ambush him when Santa lands on his house to steal Santa's sack of toys. And when he doesn't get his way in the end, he becomes more bratty and more whiny. Up until, I won't spoil the twist of this special, but out of all the bratty kids in Christmas specials, Jeremy Creek is the king. Number 7. Cousin Mel from Grandma Got Ran Over by a Reindeer.
Oh, don't do this to yourselves!
Yeah, why do I do this to myself? Yeah. Boy, I hate this special. And Cousin Mel is the main reason why I hate this special. Oh, there's a number of reasons why I dislike it. But Mel is number 1. The problem is, as obnoxious as she is, she's an okay villain. Mel is backstabbing, manipulative, greedy. She kidnaps Grandma and turns around and sues Santa, accusing him of kidnapping and leaving the scene of a hit and run. But her real crime is her performance of Grandpa's going to sue the pants off of Santa. You know what is really sad? Kids WB was a force on Saturday mornings when the network was the WB, and part of the time when it was on CW. This special really is all that's left of the block. Maybe, just maybe, that's the real crime. Number 6. Wayne from Prep and Landing. There's something that's got to be said about high expectations. If these are not met, you could become your own worst enemy. And that is exactly what happened to Wayne in the Prep and Landing series. Twice. You see, Wayne is a little too overconfident when it comes to his expectations. He gloats about things and tries to buy things even before he's given a job title or an award. And when he doesn't get what he feels he's earned, Wayne breaks down and gets into a depression. He's a villain because of how he handled things. His arrogance and pride was shot, and because of this, he almost ruined Christmas for a little boy, and almost lost the respect of the elf he was training. On top of that, he put Santa in danger because of his selfishness. Now granted, it was kind of a bad idea to inform Wayne that he didn't get the new position right before he was scheduled to go out for his Christmas job. But he kinda gets worse in Naughty vs. Nice, because now we add jealousy to the mix. Again, overconfident that he was going to win the Elf of the Year award, Wayne gets into a jealousy-fueled contest with his younger brother Noel. A contest Noel had no idea he was in. And that is because Wayne felt like Noel kept constantly showing him up. And because of this jealousy and constant one-upsmanship, this time Wayne puts the whole world in danger. And that is because a naughty kid has hacked into Santa's naughty and nice list. And Wayne was so distracted by his jealousy that became a higher priority than it was to stop the naughty kid. And when it looked like Noel had saved the day and might win Elf of the Year, Wayne has a meltdown and starts attacking Noel. Prep and Landing is a good source when it comes to the human condition, when it comes to our inner struggles. Wayne is a perfect example of overconfidence, disappointment, depression, and jealousy. He is the perfect example of how the villain in the story could very well be ourselves. Number 5. Moppet from Christmas in Tattertown. You know, we never had a toy in Toy Story that turned on children. I mean, one where they were so paranoid from all the abuse they received that they would conspire against them. Then again, I doubt that Pixar would go that far, considering their bottom line hinges on kids not being afraid of the toys they're trying to sell them. However, Little Miss Muffet is that toy. When she finds out that Tattertown is trying to have a Christmas which is being led by her old owner, Debbie, she starts to have something like war flashbacks. Like with the rest of the special, Muppet is very unfocused in why she wants to take over Tattertown. It's like the special's creator, Ralph Bashki, threw a bunch of villain cliches at her, hoping at least one will stick. There isn't much to her with the exception of yelling and bullying. She ended up trying to attack the town with some war toys, and then tries to attack Santa, and then tries to attack the town again. However, she was more of a villain towards the old war toys than she ever was to Tattertown. Honestly, the true villain of this special might have been the protagonist, Debbie, who did kind of take over Tattertown. Also, she did a horrible job of explaining what Christmas is. Now, Christmas in Tattertown is a very special kind of Christmas special that I feel needs to be explored a little more deeper, because there is history behind that. Expect a review soon. Number 4. Professor Hinkle from Frosty the Snowman. Oh boy! I had to choose between 3 Frosty the Snowman villains for this. I ended up choosing Professor Hinkle as Mr. Twitchell more or less was selling a useful product. Heck, it's just a crime that Frosty Returns exists at all. Professor Hinkle, on the other hand, attempted to kill someone twice to get that hat. First, he tried to kill Karen by trying to make her freeze to death if Frosty didn't surrender the hat. And then he melted Frosty in order to get the hat. All the while, he never realizes that he could exploit the talking snowman for his own gain. However, I can understand Hinkle's frustration, especially since the narrator is not really kind to him when describing him. You really don't want to be known as quite possibly the worst magician in the world. Yet somehow he gets work. Must have had a good agent. There's this frustration that he's being ignored by the audience of kids. Kids who find Snow more interesting than he is. Also, I'm not quite sure if the rules of finders keepers and no givesies backsies would ever hold up in real life. It's like throwing something away and then realizing that it's important. Like an heirloom or a flash drive that has important information on it. The thing is, of course, Frosty came to life. So removing that hat pretty much kills him. So I think there was justification in telling Hinkle the hat is no longer his. Or perhaps the hat is the one alive and it just needs something as an extension or conductor for it to speak and move. And since Hinkle is a party magician, it would explain why the first words out of Frosty's mouth is the words happy birthday, since that is probably the most used words the hat hears. It could have been worse. The first words out of Frosty's mouth could have been, "What have I been doing with my life?" Because, you know, Hinkle. I know that's not what they were going for. The problem is, Hinkle took things too far when trying to get the hat back, putting many lives, including his own, on the line in the process. Now, Frosty could have been charged for the crime of kidnapping, but Karen voluntarily went with him, so she's more of a runaway than she was a victim. Number 3. A postman from All of the Other Reindeer. This is a character from a special that keeps getting more and more popular. You know, Fox, if you kept All of the Other Reindeer around, you would have had your own Christmas classic instead of, "Nope, that does not exist!" Now, the postman has done a number of crimes in this special, including pet napping, mail tampering, and animal abuse. But by gum, this is one of the dumbest, if not the dumbest villains on this list. And that is made clear by the song he sings. It's nothing more than a song complaining about how much extra work he has around Christmas time. The problem with that is, this takes place on Christmas Eve. All that extra work he's complaining about has already happened. It's over. It's done. On top of that, if we have learned anything from a certain Christmas classic that may or may not be on this list, oh, what the hell, it's on this list. Nothing can really cancel Christmas, especially not Santa. Sure, Santa can cancel his flight for the year, but what does the postman think will happen next Christmas? The whole idea that people will forget about Santa in a year because of an injured reindeer kept him from going out this year is pretty stupid. It's like when people say, hey, Pixar's done them through when they had one failed movie. But boy, howdy, do they know how to prove people wrong. Yeah, people aren't going to forget about Santa Claus. Now, if Santa was a politician, I can see them forgetting about him fast. But he's not. But by gum, that postman really wants to stop Olive from helping Santa. And it doesn't really matter if he succeeds or fails, because nothing changes. But motivation aside, the postman is a despicable man, sending hate mail to Santa, kidnapping Olive and the Penguin Martini, and stealing Santa's toys. But the reason why he is on this list is because he's memorable. And it's because of his motivations, as misguided as they are. A lot of Christmas villains I have seen hate Christmas because of just hating Christmas, because they are evil. The postman is at least more complex than that, which is sad to say, really. Number 2. The Grinch from How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Are you surprised that this is number 2? There's a lot of things to take in consideration when it comes to the Grinch. Mainly motivation. First, I have to make one thing perfectly clear. When I'm talking about the Grinch, I'm talking about this special alone. I'm not taking in Halloween as Grinch Night or the Grinch is the Cat in the Hat in consideration when evaluating the Grinch's motivation. And I'm certainly not taking in consideration the movie. It's only the special. I am only talking about the 1966 Chuck Jones classic. Now getting back to the Grinch's motivation, I can sum it up like this. He's your grouchy neighbor who wants you to turn down the noise or he's gonna do something about it. That's pretty much the Grinch's motivation in a nutshell. Boy, thank goodness I don't rank on motivation alone. The Grinch is a despicable creature for what he does throughout this special. Because not only does he commit breaking and entering and theft, but you can also add animal abuse and bribery to that as well. And considering the whole town of Whoville is affected, what the Grinch did could be considered terrorism. Because now every Who will have the sense of insecurity and they are going to start pointing fingers of who broke into their houses. It would be something like Twilight Zone's monsters are due on Maple Street. Then there is the fact that the Grinch purposely stopped to listen to the tears of the people he just robbed, just to gloat and make him feel better. It's like when people go to forums, social media, or YouTube to look for something you oppose, tears because your side or something you like won, or something you didn't like lost. How messed up is that? You know, if I acknowledge that, it brings more attention to it, like I'm doing now. Damn it, get that off the screen! The Grinch is a classic Christmas villain. Yeah, his motivations is a little meh, but what he does about it makes him an icon. Also, that song helps. I mean, the descriptions that Dr. Seuss wrote to describe the Grinch is gold. Too bad it isn't a Christmas song. Oh, what? There's nothing about Christmas in that song. Like Let It Snow, Frosty the Snowman, Jingle Bells, Winter Wonderland, Baby It's Cold Outside, Sleigh Ride. Mostly songs about snow. Honorable mentions. Fish Face from Bob's Broken Sleigh. I'm the villain because I'm evil excuse. Despite being a puffin, Fish Face is the most generic, unoriginal Christmas villain with no real reason for being the bad guy outside of just cuz. Compared to the others, that isn't enough. The trolls from The Little Troll Prince, as bad as they are, again, evil just because. You see a running theme here, right? The Burgermeister Meisterburger from Santa Claus is Coming to Town. This one kind of hurt not putting him on the list, but his motivation is kind of dumb. Outlawing toys and not allowing toy makers for the king. He's just a mayor of a town that can be quickly overruled by a king. But since he does make the rules, he is kind of not really that evil, just dumb. Alexander Wolf from Raggedy Ann and Andy and the Great Santa Claus Caper. I really wish Alexander Wolf had made the list because he's really original. The problem is, he's not really popular and he pretty much monologues throughout the entire special, making him the most boring Christmas villain. He pretty much breaks into Santa's workshop and uses a machine to cover toys in an unbreakable plastic called Gloop Stick, and plans to have the kids pay him in order to get the toys out of the Gloop Stick so they can play with them. I listed him being EA as one of his crimes. The Evil Queen from A Snow White's Christmas. Not a Christmas villain. Oh sure, she's a good villain. But Christmas is never the main plot of the special or the character herself. In fact, there was no need to even mention Christmas throughout the entire special. The cleric from Toy Story That Time Forgot. Look up the evil queen from Snow White Christmas. This is not a Christmas special. It exists just to sell toys. And Christmas was mentioned, what, once? Twice? That's it, really. And the cleric is kind of overshadowed by the other characters anyway. Everybody who bullied Rudolph and Hermie in Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. So I chose those who bullied Rudolph and Hermie over the abominable snowman. I did this because the Bumble really did what he did to survive. It's like saying a polar bear is evil just because he eats seals. I chose the bullies because they are the reason why there was a conflict in the first place. I mean, look at this list. His father, Coach, other yearlings, and Santa all mocked him because of something he could not control. Yet he was one of the best flyers out of all the other yearlings. The problem with this group is the Bumble is still viewed as the main villain of the special when he's really not. Old Meg the Hag from the Leprechaun's Christmas Gold. This one's really hard to call as Meg does what she does in order to survive. She becomes more of a sympathetic character than the leprechaun guarding his gold. So it comes to, who's the real villain of the special? The Banshee who needs the gold to live, or the leprechaun who is so greedy that he would rather see someone die before he gives up the gold? The Heat and Snow Miser from The Year Without a Santa Claus. Yeah, I'm going to pretend these two are villains and not just brothers having a fight. They're just two brothers having a fight. Granted, I did put Wayne and Noel on here, but Wayne is a lot more sophisticated when it comes to his problems. And the #1 naughtiest Christmas special villain is...
It's a Yuletide!
Ebenezer Scrooge from A Christmas Carol. The funny thing about Scrooge is, if this was a list of villains with crimes committed based off government laws alone, Scrooge would never be on this list. He's committed no crime. He's just a crotchety old man who doesn't think much of family, other people, or Christmas. So I had to go beyond the laws and look into the public moral opinion with Scrooge, how he treats his fellow man. While there is a bit of intimidation and him being cold and standoffish, he's not really threatening. Unless you are Bob Cratchit, who heavily relies on Scrooge for his income. And there's always the looming threat of him being fired by Scrooge. And while his crimes are more socially driven and not crimes of laws, and while other characters on this list have done worse, Scrooge is a legendary Christmas villain. And that is because he is the first. Well, second next to King Harold, who is never really utilized for any of these specials. Scrooge is the most well known. If you are a penny pincher, or you show any dislike for Christmas, you're usually called a Scrooge. And that is because Scrooge is the go-to guy for anti-Christmas, even more so than the Grinch. And he has reasons. Because the Grinch views Christmas celebrations as a nuisance with its noise. Scrooge views Christmas as just another day and views people who celebrate it as lazy, an excuse for people to spend more money than they have, and an excuse to spend more time with people he would rather not. Scrooge is an anti-Christmas icon who has been around for centuries with clear reasons why he hates the holiday. Is there any wonder why A Christmas Carol is the most rebooted Christmas special of all time? Yeah, there's that too. So that's our video. If you liked it, please hit the like and subscribe button. Also ring that bell for any future videos that I publish. You can find me on Facebook under Tunamp Art and Entertainment, find me on Twitter under Tunamp Reviews, find me on Tumblr and DeviantArt under Tunamp, or support me on Patreon under Tunamp.
And Mrs. Mavilda, well, Mrs. Mavilda, she's going to be all right. From what I've heard, she went back to work in the orphanage as Judy's assistant.
Dude, are you trying to convince yourself of that? Because the tone of your voice sounds like you're not too sure.